Have you ever wondered who the Hebrews, the Israelites, and the Jews are? What is the real difference between a Jew, a Hebrew, and an Israelite? These words appear throughout the Bible, but many Christians today cannot distinguish them. In this video, we will explore the scriptures and reveal the distinctions and connections between these three identities. In the end, you will understand how the Bible itself defines them and why it matters to your faith today. Stay with me until the end, for we are about to travel from Abraham the Hebrew to the children of Israel, reaching the Jews of the New Testament age. Let's start. Who are the Hebrews? The first time the word Hebrew appears in the Bible is in Genesis 14:13, when someone runs away to tell Abram the Hebrew. This is significant because, among all the titles that Abram could have received, like pastor or pilgrim, the scriptures call him Abram the Hebrew. I invite you to go back in time with me as Abram, or Abram as initially called, took the first steps on his journey of faith. Imagine a brave man leaving his homeland, his customs, and even the safety provided by his family. God made him a promise of a land that he did not know, and Abraham trusted. He crossed rivers and deserts, leaving behind the idolatry of Babylon to follow the living God. When people referred to him as the Hebrew, they were recognizing not only their descent or nationality, but their courage to cross physical and spiritual boundaries in search of God's will. This name represents a journey of faith, an invitation to abandon the known and embrace the divine. Like Abraham, we are called to be Hebrews, crossing our fears and uncertainties towards divine promise. Imagine at the time when Abraham, later known as Abram, took the first steps toward the unknown land that God had promised him. His courage and faith drive him to leave behind everything that was familiar and safe. When he was called the Hebrew, he was recognized not only for his ethnic origin, but mainly by his willingness to cross physical and spiritual boundaries. This word Hebrew was not just a superficial label, it was an echo of Abraham's intimate journey with his God. Each mention of Abram, the Hebrew, evoked the image of a man who dared to challenge the ordinary and embark on a divine adventure. Like him, we are invited to see ourselves as Hebrews, as those who are willing to leave behind the comfort of the acquaintance to embrace the grand promise of faith. I remember vividly the moment Jacob, my grandfather, had a transcendental encounter with God himself. It was an intense night, full of struggle and revelation. After hours of spiritual combat, Jacob heard the divine words echo in his ears. "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you fought with God and men and prevailed." This name change was not just a formality, it was a deep transformation of identity. My grandfather became Israel, which means the one who fights with God, and so he came to be known for all eternity. From this unique experience, there were 12 children, each representing one of the tribes of Israel. The descent of this blessed family flourished and became the basis of the great nation of Israel. As part of this sacred lineage, I carry not only the name but also the spiritual inheritance of the Israelites. I remember vividly when the children of Israel were in Egypt. The earth was full of our people, growing and thriving as the promises made to Abraham unfolded before our eyes. Each day, the number of Israelites increased, and the presence of our people was increasingly striking in those distant lands. We were the living reflection of God's faithfulness to us. His protective hand kept us and made us prosper even in the midst of adversity. That phase of exuberant growth and abundant multiplication echoed the words of the Lord to our ancestors, "Faculty, thirst, multiply, and fill the earth." And so we did, growing in number and firming our identity as the people chosen by God. I remember vividly from the shadowy era in which the United Kingdom of Israel was divided into two: the North Kingdom, known as Israel, and the South Kingdom, called Judah. With the division of the kingdom, a cloud of uncertainty has hooked upon our land. The Northern Kingdom quickly plunged into idolatry and sin, refusing to follow the ways of the Lord. Numerous warnings were uttered by the prophets, such as Elijah, Hosea, and Amos, but the people refused to repent. In a sad chapter of our history, in 722 BC, the the fury of Assyrians was slaughtered on us. Samaria fell, and the 10 tribes of the North Kingdom were deported away from their homeland. These tribes became known as the 10 lost tribes of Israel, a distressing reminder of the consequences of disobedience to our God. Meanwhile, in the Southern Kingdom, the Kingdom of Judah resisted despite external threats and internal pressures to abandon true faith. The city of Jerusalem continued as a symbol of the covenant with God and the center of worship. Even in the face of the trials and temptations that surrounded us, we remained firm in the values transmitted by our ancestors. Although not free of sin and failures, we were preserved in fulfillment of God's promise to David. The covenant was maintained because of it, a tangible reminder of divine fidelity, even in the face of human infidelity. I remember vividly when, after the Babylonian captivity, the inhabitants of the Southern Kingdom, composed of Judah and Benjamin, began to be called Jews. This change of identification was not just a matter of nomenclature, it was a deep milestone in our history. While we were scattered and away from our homeland, the term Jewish became the anchor that connected us to our spiritual and national heritage. Even in the face of the adversity of deportation and loss, we kept alive the flame of our faith and identity as God's chosen people. Being called Jewish reminded us of our divine promise and strengthened us to face the challenges to come. I remember vividly when, after the Babylonian captivity, the inhabitants of the Southern Kingdom, composed of Judah and Benjamin, began to be called Jews. This transition did not occur without difficulty. It was a period of rediscovery and resilience for our people. Far from our homeland, we become a dispersed people, keeping the flame of our faith and traditions on foreign soil alive. The term Jewish was not just a new designation. It was a constant memory of who we were, and the God who kept his covenant with us. Even in the face of the challenges of the diaspora and the need to adapt to new realities, we remain united as children of Judah and heirs of divine promises. Being called Jewish was not just an ethnic label. It was a conductive thread that connected us to our history, identity, and hope amid the adversities of exile. I remember vividly when, after the Babylonian captivity, part of the captives returned to the long-awaited land promised under the Persian leadership. The journey back was full of intense challenges and emotions. As we saw the Judea hills again, our hearts overflowed with renewed gratitude and hope. The reconstruction of our nation, the walls of Jerusalem to the Holy Temple, was not just a matter of stones over stones. It was the reconstruction of our identity as the people chosen by God. Each brick seated was a testimony of divine love that brought us back to our spiritual heritage. Our roots were strengthened, our faith revived, and the promise of restoration came to life before our marvelous eyes. The return of exile was not just a chapter closed in the book of history, it was the beginning of a new dawn for the people of Judah. I remember vividly how each of these titles, Hebrew, Israelite, and Jewish, highlighted unique and essential aspects of God's chosen people's history. While the term Hebrew echoed the courage and faith of Abraham, a man who dared to cross physical and spiritual boundaries in search of divine will, the name Israelite represented Jacob's offspring, with his 12 tribes that formed the base of the nation of Israel. Each tribe brought with it a unique identity, but they were all linked by shared divine promises. On the other hand, being called Jewish was an anchor in turbulent times, a constant reminder of the promises held by God even during exile and dispersion. Each title not only identified us as a separate people for God, but also traced the timeline of divine faithfulness among human challenges. And by uniting these 3 names, Hebrew, Israelite, and Jewish, we can contemplate the complex web of meanings that intertwine to form the tapestry of sacred history. I remember vividly how each of these titles, Hebrew, Israelite, and Jewish, highlighted unique and essential aspects of God's chosen people's history. While the term Hebrew echoed the courage and faith of Abraham, a man who dared to cross physical and spiritual boundaries in search of divine will, the name Israelite represented Jacob's offspring. With his 12 tribes that formed the base of the nation of Israel, Each tribe brought with it a unique identity, but they were all linked by shared divine promises. On the other hand, being called Jewish was an anchor in turbulent times, a constant reminder of the promises held by God even during exile and dispersion. Each title not only identified us as a separate people for God, but also traced the timeline of divine faithfulness among human challenges. And by uniting these three names, Hebrew, Israelite, and Jewish, we can contemplate the complex web of meanings that intertwine to form the tapestry of sacred history. If this teaching has blessed you, share this video to help spread the word of God. Subscribe to more Bible-based teachings every week. Comment below, I am a descendant of Abraham through Christ. Until next time, may the Lord bless you as you walk in the truth of Him. Shalom. You have a beautiful home.
We saw them fall, terrifying, radiant. They came for the daughters of Eve. We were their forbidden fruit. Sons were born to us, monsters of divinity and flesh. The Nephilim.
They knocked on gates reinforced with rough metal and mammoth bone. They cracked open, revealing two guards with spears poised.
What's your business?
My son and I have come to barter, for iron. I need more tools to tend my farm.
The men scanned them up and down, nodded, and opened the gates. Methuselah's eyes widened with terror when they entered. Sitting atop thrones hewn from the skulls of the great lizards were beast-like men. They were nearly 10 feet tall, with arms like tree trunks and jaws like chiseled onyx. Their faces were deformed, with brows casting shadows over their serpent-like eyes. Methuselah could feel their voices in his chest when they spoke.
If it isn't Enoch, the man who walks with the Creator himself, what brings you to our domain?
We need iron. Our tools have worn, and you have taken all the iron in the region. What will you give me in exchange?
So formal. Why not stay a while with us, Enoch? You could tell us some of your famous tales about the Elohim. We have wine and women aplenty.
I can ship a third of my next harvest in exchange for your iron. The summer has made the ground rough. Good tools will break the earth much quicker.
What's to stop us from just taking your farm, Enoch? We've consumed other farms within our borders. How about we give your little plot of land a look?
That'd be unwise.
Easy there, Enoch. You forget who you're talking to.
The creature gripped the shaft of his spear with his monstrous paws. Murder was in his eyes. Methuselah could tell he was ravenous for any excuse to put Enoch's head on one of those pikes outside. Yet his father remained, voice unyielding. He stood with a confidence that somehow towered over even these giants.
Take my land, consume it, and it will be gone. You and I both know you can't farm like the sons of Seth. But strike this deal with me, and I'll give you 1/3 of what I grow for the first harvest, and 1/6 for the other 3 after that.
You sons of Seth think you're so clever. Not clever enough to secure the iron. Not strong enough to strike down the great beast to fortify your walls.
Do we have a deal?
Oh, Enoch. So serious. So righteous. You may be favored by the Creator, but tell me, do you bleed like the other sons of Seth we've cut open?
One stood from his throne, feet shaking the earth with each step as he strode toward Enoch. His nostrils flared like a bull's. Methuselah could have sworn he saw smoke smoldering out with each breath. Enoch remained perfectly still, chin up, and pointed toward the giant. Methuselah tried not to shake, drawing strength from his father's resolve. The beast stood only a few feet away, blocking out the light from the fire. There was a long, unsettling pause. Methuselah's throat clenched, keeping the breath from exiting his lungs. His father was still. The man's hulking frame leaned forward. He bore his teeth like a wolf and spoke.
You have a deal, Enoch, but fail to pay, and I'll take your wife, eat your children, and use your eldest as a toothpick.
I'm a man of my word. With the Creator as my witness, I shall pay my share.
Oh, the Creator. You think hearing his name gives me comfort? Get out of here before I change my mind.
Enoch wasted no time. He turned on his heels and left. Methuselah padded behind him like a puppy. They left the city. Its stench lingered on them for a while. They crossed the brook separating the city and their land and scaled the grassy knolls. They made it to a small summit. A singular cedar tree swayed to the midnight breeze. Methuselah could see the stars twinkling through the breaks in the leaves.
What were those, Father? Were they men?
Yes and no. They are the Nephilim, spawn of the sons of God and daughters of men.
So they're sons of angels?
Yes. Do you remember the story of the garden?
Methuselah nodded, waiting expectantly for his father to speak.
Our ancestors were enticed by the tree of knowledge. They wanted to be like God, exchanging his will for them for pride. They fell. Still, they multiplied and began filling the earth. When the sons of Adam multiplied here on the world and daughters were born to them, the heavenly beings saw that they were good. Just as Adam and Eve took the fruit of the tree, the divine beings took the daughters of men. What came from them were the Nephilim, neither human nor divine, creatures born from lust and pride.
So now they just rule this land like gods?
They are chiefs in this land, but not gods. They think they're gods. They think their strength makes them divine. But there's only one God. He has made us in his image. We are his appointed stewards of the world. The Nephilim know this and hate us all the more for it.